A few things that I've loved that we've seen work have been, things like video product placement, which is, and even more enhanced in that space, doing it dynamically. So the idea that you and I could be both watching the same piece of content, and we can incorporate different products based on that, whether it's a physical product or a video placement or a static billboard. We now can dynamically serve different people, different brand inclusions based on their preference. So you may be watching, maybe we're both watching Modern Family, and I see a bag of salt and vinegar Lay's on the counter of the scene, because I know that that's my favorite, or who's targeting me knows that it's my favorite product. But you might see a bottle of Pure Leaf iced tea on your counter in the scene, because we know that's what's going to resonate best with you. And again, that's that personalized message in a dynamic fashion, leveraging the data signals that we have. And we can do that now.
You are listening to Power Marketing with Kevin Lee. Kevin and his agency Did It have helped thousands of businesses win through superior marketing, as have his books, articles, speaking engagements, and the E-Marketing Association Power Marketing podcasts. Here's Kevin.
I'm really pleased to be joined today with Kate Brady, who is at PepsiCo in charge of next-gen DTC connections and innovation. And I believe that's a pretty new role for you. So I'd love to hear what that entails, because that's sort of a mouthful of responsibilities that I think would be included in there.
Yeah, it is. And it's actually been shortened since we initially started it. So we're a brand new team. We're a brand new team in PepsiCo. I've actually been with PepsiCo for about 12 and a half years now. I've always had some sort of a media-driven role. I started in media strategy and investment for our beverages business, and then evolved into I was leading global media innovation and partnership development for the past 3 years. And then now, as of about 2 months ago, I started in this new team, in this new org. And we are Next Gen D2C. My specific remit is about driving connections and innovation. So we are looking to grow consumer lifetime value by identifying, developing, and scaling new solutions that will enhance and enable two-way conversations or connections across all of our consumer touch points. And that's really what we are trying to do, is stop being such a more of a broadcast medium and really building relationships with our consumers.
That's cool. I mean, people don't usually think of beverage as a DTC brand, or even having direct consumer connections. But I know that a lot of brands have really been looking to, how do they forge communities, right? And create one-to-one engagement with their consumers. So it's really fascinating that you are now tasked with that. I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with and execute against. When you were at Advertising Week New York a few weeks back, you were on a panel called Go Big with Gen Z in TV Streaming. And sort of what was the Reader's Digest takeaway from that? So if you had to sort of condense that session down, what did people walk away with from that?
Sure. Yeah. So I would say the Cliff Notes or TLDR version of the panel was all about understanding converged TV strategy for media and measurement and creative, and how that's evolving, especially against the Gen Z audiences. And from PepsiCo's perspective, we strive to be consumer centric and lead with a consumer first approach. And the media landscape is more fragmented than ever. And people have varied levels of engagement and experiences with these channels based on their journey. And to enable that, we've been extremely focused on building out our own data and leveraging that data to power optimal performance that can drive more personalized experiences, and that can also tie back to another massive priority of ours, which is about driving creative excellence. And so as we think about the opportunities to get closer to truly impactful measures, we're focused on understanding, cross-platform optimization. And we're doing that by leveraging clean rooms to pull in exposure logs and marrying that to purchase data to provide a tighter connection to purchase level data to solve for the ever increasingly difficult landscape that we're facing. And so ultimately, we'll be feeding these insights into our CDP, or consumer data platform. It's a work stream that's in development, but we see it as a massive unlock to future success and greater personalization. And so my new role and team are fully focused on bringing this to light as a part of our next gen D2C agenda. And so that is, like I mentioned, building and scaling tools to accelerate this goal.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, one of the fascinating things about CTV and addressable TV is that at the household level, they know which households were exposed and which weren't. So it does open up the opportunity for brands who could never really tie back purchase behavior before to potentially tie it back. So that's really exciting that you're going down that pathway. When I first read the agenda item, I thought to myself, wait a minute, some folks say Gen Z and younger generations pay no attention to ads, right? And my teens certainly do. I remember them commenting on some political ads running just, all over at the time. And they're like, what's the deal with Sean Patrick Maloney? Because I live in Scarsdale, right? Yeah. And it was just his competitor was really pummeling the digital airwaves. And so that was when I knew that like the ads actually get through to the teens. So, how do you respond to folks who say, wait a minute, there are entire generations that ignore ads?
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring up a good point, and I do believe that there is no one that can really support or drive that cross-screen viewership like Gen Z. I don't know many of any Gen Zs that don't have their phone in their hand while they're watching. So the fact that they can have this engagement on multiple devices while they're watching their bigger screen, it makes it more difficult to break through, but it also often opens up a lot more opportunity. And we know it's not impossible to break through. But, I think, our creative and our MarTech, we need to understand better, then it allows for greater innovation across, new ad products to drive better results with that creative, because this is a whole new, ball game when we can say, okay, if they can search for more information on their phone, that's something that we have to think about in this consumer journey. So it opens the door for many more shoppable experiences. And as a D2C focused marketer, that's really exciting for me. So I think this is a whole new world that they're going to be open to experiences that might have been actually harder to get the Gen X or Boomer generation to adapt to.
That's interesting. One of the things that's available in streaming is you do have segments, customer segments that you can target particularly at the household level, and then sometimes at the individual level. And so do you recommend that marketers take advantage of those segments, potentially either to just in general targeting, but also creatively, like different creative for different segments? Because Pepsi and other big brands they used to be stuck with, okay, we need to create one piece of creative, it needs to work for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And now maybe they could have done it differently, for CBS versus Fox, right? If they really wanted to, or a different Super Bowl ad or whatever. But they were sort of pretty much trying to, find a one size fits all creative. But with segmentation, it would seem that that'd be empowering.
Yeah, no, you're so spot on. I mean, I firmly believe that to be most relevant to our customers or consumers, we need to understand what's really going to resonate with them. And we strive to be as personalized as possible, but to do that at scale. So we are focused on, enhancing our measurement capabilities to understand what's working and what's really resonating and how to optimize that. But I think, as mentioned, innovation in the MarTech space is a key enabler to success. And so we're developing a number of new solutions and capabilities to accelerate our measurement approach. We're leaning into cross-platform optimization ideas and personalization at scale tools to really help drive that, a dynamic message that resonates with those consumers, and hopefully can drive those two-way conversations that we're trying to enable as we move forward. It does take, some heavy lifting to unify a lot of the data sets that we have and really make sure that we're putting it to power right. But we also see that as, a big unlock as we build out this CDP that we think will help further our agenda and allow us to be more personalized, more prescriptive in the messaging that we're providing that's going to resonate best and really drive the best results.
That's cool. For the stuff that you've deployed, the campaigns you've deployed thus far, have there been any really interesting aha moments where some data floated to the surface and you're like, wow, that's really interesting?
Yeah, I would say I think more from like an innovation perspective. And as an innovator at heart, I love to test and learn in new channels and spaces, and leading global media innovation for the past 3 years. And now our Web3 COE is a part of my new role as well. I've been able to explore a lot of new territories, and a few things that I've loved that we've seen work have been, things like video product placement, which is, and even more enhanced in that space, doing it dynamically. So the idea that you and I could be both watching the same piece of content, and we can incorporate different products based on that, whether it's a physical product or a video placement or a static billboard. We now can dynamically serve different people, different brand inclusions based on their preference. So you may be watching, maybe we're both watching Modern Family, and I see a bag of salt and vinegar Lay's on the counter of the scene, because I know that that's my favorite, or who's targeting me knows that it's my favorite product. But you might see a bottle of Pure Leaf iced tea on your counter in the scene, because we know that's what's going to resonate best with you. And again, that's that personalized message in a dynamic fashion, leveraging the data signals that we have. And we can do that now, which is really awesome and sometimes a little creepy to think about, but I think it's really cool at the same time to think about how we don't have to plan, 18 months in advance to deliver product in there that's then fully baked into a scene. We can't change it if we have design changes or campaign changes. And it's really just that one product, whereas now it opens up for a full portfolio. And when we look at our brands, we've got thousands of different brands that we could serve that's going to be, most impactful to you. So I love the fact that we can make those changes on the fly. We can leverage the data signals we have to be most prescriptive and most personal. So that's one example. Another I would say is like within the Web3 space, it's awesome to see what people are excited about. And because it's such an evolving space, we're taking, such micro level insights, but taking all of those insights to build into the next campaign. And I mentioned that I'm leading this Web3 COE, but we're calling ourselves a center of enablement, not a center of excellence, because it's a bit presumptuous for us to say that we're excellent at something that's so nascent and we're all still trying to figure out. But I'm there to help shepherd the organization along, because it's very unregulated and there are a lot of challenges and roadblocks to getting there, but there's a lot of insights that we can learn through these test and learn process that just give us really great insight to make the next effort better. And so, I'm sure what we think is working now, we're going to have much greater learnings in the next year that's going to trump everything that we're doing so far, but it's excited to see that evolution.
Yeah, it particularly is, I love the idea of dynamic product placement, because, product placement's obviously a huge unskippable media opportunity in comparison to things.
Engaged.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it'll be fascinating to see how that evolves. Probably harder to get a call to action into a product placement, but at least
not impossible. And I think, that's where I love when I think about the innovation, like how do we then see how that is where you can directly buy from in the future. And so I think those are the capabilities, and I'm really excited to see what comes down the line in the next few months.
Yeah, I know a lot of CPG brands and beverage brands, like they think about consumer activation, right? And they've used all sorts of different loyalty points programs and other forms of activation to try to sort of, put a feedback loop in place to say, well, we know for sure that we activated these consumers, sponsoring events, obviously in the beverages category, big stadiums, usually lock in a particular vendor, right, or supplier with regards to that. So, what are your thoughts on sort of how digitally you activate, across niche audiences, and sort of then can tell the CFO, oh, look at this, look at these great KPIs that we've been able to deliver against?
Yeah, I would say just as a broader view, I would say what I think marketers, like how they should activate, is really just about understanding their consumer base and really striving and prioritizing that effort. And so we are trying, it is our number one priority to understand and be consumer centric and really drive that understanding of the consumer base. And to do that, it's about first party data acquisition. So I would say if you haven't started yet, I think all marketers should really be focusing on how do they do that better to get a better understanding of the consumers, to just make every one of their dollars, whether it's against the broader or the niche audiences, work harder.
Cool. Obviously consumers is a broad term, right? You've got lots of different segments and sub-segments of consumers, but are there any sort of broad changes in consumer expectation about brands that you think sort of hold true across the ecosystem?
It's funny. I think they have that consumers are now really expecting brands to know them and to receive personalized creative from them. And, speaking of eMarketer, there's actually a report that I've quoted a few times that state that 73% of consumers are now expecting more unique or personalized creative to them than just 2 years ago, where it was at, I think, like 66%. And so, we are seeing that they are self-reporting, saying that, yes, I expect the brands to give me messages that mean something to me, that aren't just, and I think it's understanding how do we better manage the frequency controls and things like that, because you get annoyed if you're seeing a message that doesn't make sense to you. And you're like, well, you should know better.
Yeah. I mean, eMarketer is different than the eMarketing Association. eMarketer is Jeff Ramsey's former company. He's retired now since then. But the next question is really, obviously, streaming TV was a big part of the panel that you did. But I'm curious what other platforms or channels you're investing in and experimenting in. Obviously, Web 3.0 is pretty broad as well, with regards to all the things you could do that are blockchain related or metaverse related. So would love to hear what has you excited.
Yeah. So we are fortunate to have an amazing portfolio of highly scaled brands, and to support them, we have a really robust cross-platform approach. I'm really thrilled to be able to lead this next gen D2C team and focus on our delivering of, our vision, which is about leveraging the strength of our brands, our portfolio, mass media, consumer touch points, and technology to really more meaningfully engage with our consumers and drive that CLV. And that is through all of our touch points, including things like Web3. And so we're looking to create a multiplier effect across all of these touch points, accelerating and enhancing what we do by activating this D2C channels in new ways like we haven't before. And so this will all be powered by the CDP. We will have one holistic view of the consumer that's going to be able to enable us to drive actionable insights and better target and segment our consumers to drive more effective engagement and interactions with them. And so to capture that first party data and to fuel the CDP, we're accelerating direct commerce and launching that one collective PepsiCo consumer engagement and rewards platform as a part of that. So, we've got an ambitious agenda ahead of us, but all of it is about building and powering this network that I think is really going to drive some amazing successes for the organization.
Yeah, that's super exciting. It within beverages, I think particularly folks always talk about the fact that you've sort of got diehard fans on one side, diehard fans on the other, and then you've got the switchers, right? And so it sounds like a lot of the things that you're working on really are sort of the non-political equivalent of the independents, right? The ones that could go to either side, right? And you're sort of like, oh, if we just take 5% of those people and we convince them that, our brand is superior, either with taste or some other feature, that's a huge win, right? Has that been part of the thinking behind all of this?
Yeah, I think when we look at how we're segmenting those consumer bases, those loyalists, those switchers, those that are going to be difficult to get into the fold, it does help us be more insightful about the messaging that we want to deliver to each of those. So that, again, it's really about ensuring that every dollar is working harder than the last, and that we're not wasting anything, so that, we can give you a message that's going to mean something to you, and that that value exchange is going to be worth, becoming a part of our community.
Cool. Is there anything else that has you excited about 2023? It should be quite an interesting year. Recession or not, it's clearly going to be an interesting year.
Yeah, you are right there. I mean, we're so excited. Obviously, I'm a part of a new team, and we've got this robust agenda, and so we're really excited to see, what 2023 and beyond has in store for us, and this D2C network that we're building, because it's going to deliver two massive goals for the organization. It's to significantly enhance the way we engage with our consumers today, and then two, to drive new ways of engagement that's supported by emerging tech and new solutions that we're building internally to just make this much more of a frictionless approach and relationship with our consumers, which, I think could be really impactful for the organization. So to be a part of that is really exciting.
That is super exciting. Thanks so much for joining me, Kate.
No, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Kevin Lee's Power Marketing is available on all your favorite podcast networks. Kevin loves helping businesses excel at marketing. Having marketing challenges? Just like Santa in The Miracle on 34th Street, if Kevin can't help you, he'll know someone who can. Find him on LinkedIn, subscribe, or follow.